Hey everyone, today I have a request from a video from the Depression and Sadness webinar of last week, talking about how to handle feeling depressed or not having a purpose in life when you're stuck in a job that you don't like, how I handled that because I really struggle with that myself, why it's important to get used to those emptiness sensations as you transition to healthier beliefs. No, you don't have to stay in the job. Yes, it's probably good that you are aware of your tendencies to jump around looking for something, looking for happiness or an emotional fix. This is very, very common. There's a lot of stuff nowadays on searching for the correct job and purpose in life, etc. And I don't really go by that, or we don't at OCD Recovery. Before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Let me know what you think about this. Please come into a webinar. They're great. We have the advanced, well, by the time this comes out, it will have passed. There's about 200 people on that one or so. The webinars are massive. I've been running them with Rob, with Sam now. I've been doing them myself for almost 5 years. So they're just a lot of fun. Great community. Then you get into the WhatsApp groups, which are great. You know, just to remind you of how specific the WhatsApp groups are. If you come to a coaching call, just myself, I put 10 to 20 articles a month. They don't go anywhere else but the WhatsApp groups. I'm doing a relationship series. I did an anger series. That's just me, not including anything Sam or Moment or Rob does or Gemma or Jade or Elliot or anyone. So it's nothing like it. I can say you'll never find anything like it in the mental health space with how much effort we put into that because we want to spread correct awareness. So I'm going to move this up a little bit so I can kind of go backwards. We're going with it. When I first developed chronic OCD, I was still in grad school. I entered the mental hospital in November 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th in 2019. I was still in grad school. Then I had to take national board exams, part 4, which was very difficult. 3 hours, very strict, 25 case rooms, imaging studies. I don't even know how I made it. When I graduated and got a job in Colorado, because we came out here to visit in July, we went to Oregon as well, and I like Colorado. So we came out here. I took a job with my wife at a personal injury, so specifically working with people who dealt with motor vehicle collisions, high-end cases, really sad stuff. And I hated my life. I hated everything about it. I hated working with insurance companies. I hated working with attorneys telling me what to do. No offense, I come from a family of attorneys. My father was an attorney. Erica's father was an attorney. Erica's brother's an attorney. My sister's an attorney who works for a nonprofit. I almost became an attorney, but I didn't because I took 2 law classes and I was like, fuck that. So... but I didn't go to work for a while. Eric would have to yell. So I had all these particular things. Now there's nothing wrong with, say, Alan Watts, or nothing wrong with people inherently who talk about this. But when a lot of people are talking about, and Alan Watts doesn't do this per se, but we can get caught in that kind of like existential realm of like, what's my purpose and all those different types of spirituality videos. Again, nothing inherently wrong with them. But when we're chasing something that doesn't exist, we're inside the hamster wheel going over and over again, looking for something that we'll never be able to satisfy because always something will come up. No matter what job you have, there will always be pros and cons. So my philosophy in life is, what am I doing now? Are there more pros and cons with that? And can I stay for a while longer? And that kind of slowed down my decision making to run away in the time. And that didn't go, first I had to get back to work. So the first thing I had to do was stop avoiding things and making the most out of the job I didn't like. So I got better at note-taking skills. I got better at diagnostics. I got better at referring when they had to go to physical therapy or massage therapy or draw needling, or when they had to see the pain management doctor. So I had to do all of those things as I built up my reserve of grit, persistence, and consistency during case histories, taking studies and exams on people that are very, very emotional. Maybe they got pushed off the road at 60 miles an hour or 100 kilometers an hour by a truck, and they have multiple disc herniations in their neck, bulging discs, and it's sad. They're crying and they're chronic pain, and now they're on all sorts of pain medications, and it's just tough, right? And they're on some of them are on disability because their accidents were head-on collisions, or they got hit at a stoplight. I mean, remember one kid got hit so fucking hard the trunk was pushed all the way into the back seat. If anyone was in the back seat, they were going to be in big trouble. So I said, you know what? I'm not enjoying this right now. I'm going to make the best of it. And I've always been pretty good at that. So this is something I'm a good person to listen to about this, because although it affected me, it didn't affect me for long, and I got really good at doing things when I didn't want to do them. If you haven't watched my video that's on the channel now about how to deal with consistency, it's a really important video for breaking this stuff down. I think people are completely wrong when it comes to building consistency. It's about doing things you don't want to do over and over again, and I like what Ray Dalio says. It doesn't particularly get any more fun on certain things. Like I don't say, oh my God, flossing my teeth is fun, but you get better at getting it done. Your frustration tolerance goes up. So that's my philosophy on life. What can I make an impact at, hopefully, and where will be more than likely more pros than cons? And if there's not more pros and cons, because I know my history of jumping around, looking for instant gratification, video games, smoking, adult websites, relationship jumping, cheating, every type of instant gratification, I'm going to stay with this for a while because I know my track history of bouncing back and forth. Again, I don't compare myself to anyone. Well, this person does this and that person does that. I always use the Jimmy and Sally example. Jimmy's an alcoholic, Sally isn't. Well, Sally cannot. It doesn't fucking matter what Sally can do. Jimmy or Jack, whatever name you want to use, you struggle with alcoholism. It's about what you can do and what you can't do. So knowing myself, knowing my history, knowing how my brain works, knowing my just how easy it was for me to go 0 to 100 and how much longer it took me to tame that than other people. More than likely genetic, more than likely, I only say because of the video with the ADHD. If I didn't do content, I would never, the letters ADHD would never leave my mind because my mouth, because it doesn't matter. But I use it to show context. And then, like take OCD suffering for an example. I don't believe in a universal purpose. Now it's a little bit easier for me in certain ways. I don't believe personally in an afterlife, not saying I'm right. I believe that life has no meaning. I think life is particularly just random luck, atoms, and perception of sensory overload that no one can really understand. There's no fear with that for an existential person hearing this. If I'm here and I'm not going to end my life or I'm going to be alive, I might as well make the best of it from a behavioral discipline standpoint. And I apply those principles to work. I don't base anything I do off my life anymore, primarily, strictly off feelings. I'll give you an example. I'm going to go hike a big mountain this weekend. I'm going to go sleep in my car on Saturday night because the trailhead's 2.5 hours away. That involves a lot of discomfort. It's cold already at that time. It might be 30 degrees or 0 Celsius. Then I got to get up. Then I got to hike 40. It's all something I want to do, but that's not like a yay. Trust me, when I'm hiking in the dark with a headlamp on and it's fucking freezing and I can see my breath and it's only September, your body's wanting to turn you around. Then you're climbing up to 4,200 meters and 14,300 feet. Everything in your body is telling you to turn around, right? You maybe get stomach aches. Maybe you have to shit yourself and you have to go in the woods. I've had diarrhea above tree line. I have to go hide behind a rock when there's people on the trail. None of this stuff brings any sort of joy, but there's a sense of accomplishment. But that sense of accomplishment, I've trained myself by acting over and over and over again. I'm a human. Of course I fail. Of course I slip up. I can procrastinate at times, but I'm pretty damn good at not procrastinating because I've trained myself like a muscle, like a bodybuilder, like a powerlifter. And that's how I view things. I don't look at it from the angle of what am I going to do here that I enjoy. I look at it from the angle of how do I make myself get better at this job? And if I can't and I have to stay complacent, I can accept that too because millions of people, hundreds of millions, if not billions of people throughout history in all sorts of workforces just showed up to work, did what they could, and then went home. So it's really, really important to look at that. But on the other side of the coin, you are going to have to get comfortable with the loss of sensation. You are going to have to get comfortable with the depression sensations being there, whatever that may be. And the more that you look for a purpose, the more that you engage and go down the rabbit hole in solving these meaning of life. I mean, you have to be realistic about, like, take what I do with OCD recovery. It's very hard work. It's very hard. We work 24/7, 7 days a week. I don't really take days off. Even when I'm traveling, I'll make content and stuff like that. And people have their own opinion on that. I don't like that statement. I never worked a day in your life. I saw Stephen Wynn, I think it was in the BBC interview in 2016. I never worked a day in his life. That's bullshit. You worked a day in your life. The amount of things that you have to deal with, the amount of hardships, you just like more of what you do. I love OCD recovery, but it's tough. It's tough having horror calls one after another, having to balance in the content, make all the TikToks and everything. But it's also very easy in certain ways. I'm doing it from my house. I'm not driving to an office. Like, it's emotionally and intellectually challenging. It's not physically demanding. I mean, my chiro job's not even physically demanding, and it's when I'm doing trigger point release in my elbow, but it's still more demanding. There's pros and cons to all these situations, but I don't like when people say I never worked a day in my life. I just don't believe that. No one. I don't care if it's a surgeon. I love being a brain surgeon. I never worked a day in my life, except when you had to tell the parents of the person that has a glioblastoma and went in for surgery that they actually had a brain bleed and they died on the table. You love that, doing that? You love that? Maybe you did, but probably not. So there's a lot of wishy-washy statements out there that make people, life is very simple in this way. Like, work has a lot of hardships, even when you love what you do. Trying to pick something that potentially has more pros and cons. You're going to have a lot of difficult days and difficult moments at work. It doesn't mean you still can't make the best of it. And even in a job that you quote unquote don't like, which is what most people have, that's not more than likely because of the job as much as people think. Of course it can be. It's because of their beliefs about the job and not wanting to put in the extra work and not want to build frustration tolerance as they get used to not having expectations on the feelings of the workplace. Thank you again, Phil at OCDrecovery.com. Let me know what you think. I love hearing out. Please comment in the video. I love talking to everyone in the community. It's a lot of fun. And again, OCD Recovery, I love it. My other business, I love it. Lots of cons, lots of pros. But I try not to put any expectations on how I feel in any of those situations. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.